Morning, folks. Lindsay Ellis from SPS back in the building, getting ready for another Monday motivation on March 1st, 2021. Yes, March 1st, 2021. Waiting on some more folks to chime in and say good morning. I want to get it popping, but just want to say this. Uh, we couldn't believe a year ago when we were at the start of the pandemic that we would now be at this moment. Things are changing. Those who we lost, I want to say good morning, Michelle. No, I couldn't say we've got it going on without you being on here. I appreciate you setting my clock to you. So we're gonna get started with today's Monday motivation. It's called Leaving the Shoreline, Michelle. I want to talk about leaving that shoreline. That's right. That beautiful, beautiful shoreline that we've seen, that we think about, that many of us wish to visit, as soon as restrictions get lifted. But what do I mean by leaving the shoreline, Michelle? What do I mean by that? Well, let's define a shoreline. A shoreline, that is defined as the strip that marks the boundary between land and water. That's right. The strip that marks the boundary between land and water. And a lot of definitions of that we can talk about. But I think it's very important that we talk about this boundary, that presence that talks about one side or the other. And when I'm talking about leaving the shoreline, Michelle, and to the others who have checked in, I'm talking about mentally moving away from that place that we feel safe. I'll go a little bit further to an extreme nature in talking about leaving the shoreline. When you talk about the anxiety disorder called Agoraphorbia. That's an anxiety disorder that talks about a person who's afraid to leave environments they know or consider to be safe. You get where I'm going now. A person who's afraid to leave environments they know or consider to be safe. Now, as always, things are being said more in a philosophical sense, in the mental sense, and not in the sense of, go jump in the water and you don't know how to swim. No. But as adults, as young people, we have the opportunity to prepare ourselves to manage the basics of life. That is learning to walk, learning to run. Some of us learning to swim. And many of us can swim, though we don't like it. And some in the African-American community, we have a connection with water that we talk about from the transatlantic slave trade, and there's trauma in that. But I'm talking about when we get so caught up in the situation that we are afraid to leave familiarity, especially when that familiarity can be toxic. Would you stay on the shoreline if there are lions and tigers on your heels? Would you stay on the shoreline if there were people native to that land of any kind of descent throwing poisonous darts at you and giving you that visual? Would you stay on the shoreline if there was a natural disaster, some hot lava that's running onto the ground that probably will be cool once it hit the water? Do you get my point? This familiarity that we have with staying close to something we're familiar with could almost be toxic to our lives. We can almost be in more danger staying on the shoreline than leaving and going out into the water. And the other part of it, Einstein said this. Shout out to Albert Einstein. He said a ship is always safe at the shore, but that is not what it's built for. That's right. A ship is always safe at the shore, but that is not what it's built for. By the great Albert Einstein. We were meant to explore. We were meant to go beyond where we are right now. And I don't say this in the sense of you just putting on a conquistador hat and just going out to explore, but I'm talking about you moving beyond your familiarity. You moving beyond your comfort zone. That's right. You be moving beyond what's there on the shore that could be hurting you or harming you. When you go out into this water, this vastness that even though you can't see markers of where you want to be, something is calling you and telling you that is the direction you need to go. Your vision is unfulfilled when you stay on the shoreline. So do you have to make a boat that you can believe in its physical integrity, that you can ride it out? Do you have to learn to swim, that you can believe in your physical abilities? Or do you have to just say, I can't stay here anymore? You must be prepared to leave the shoreline. Because if we stay on the shore, so do our dreams, our visions, and our aspirations. If we stay on the shore, so does our legacy. If we stay on the shore and not move on into the vast unknown, then we run the risk of not fulfilling our potential, not being who we were supposed to be, not responding to that internal feeling that we have of doing more and being great. Jay-Z just said it recently in a podcast that I saw. He said, you got to have that feeling and just know, whatever it may be. Sometimes this shoreline could be a relationship. Sometimes this shoreline can be a job. Sometimes this shoreline can be a state of mind. Sometimes this shoreline can be some type of behavior that is toxic and negative to you. What is your shoreline? What is your level of familiarity that you are scared to go away from? What is it? What could it be? It's something, right? I want to go back to something I said a few weeks ago when I brought up this book by Dix. Shout out to Dix, one of our supporters or whatnot. Give it up to also the Horatio Williams Foundation as well. Also to Gilead Sciences. Yeah, Dix, that is. Nothing but love for Dix. And it was in this book that I'm reading right now, that I'm working on completing, that the founder of Dix, his son that is, went on to say these words that I'm going to put on the screen right now. And those words were, when you talk about fortune and who it favors, right? Give me one moment. Fortune favors those who aren't satisfied with the status quo, those who are hungry, who have a vision for where they like to be and the confidence to get there. You can have the vision, but the confidence should be, don't just jump in the water, learn how to swim. The confidence could be build a boat. The confidence could be saying, I cannot stay here anymore. Going to the comments. My guy, James Payne, Wu Payne, shout out to Henry Ford College and my guy over there coaching, doing an amazing job. And yes, what you say, Mimi? MLK said, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. That's right. Faith is taking the first step. Oh, ye of little faith. Got me to talk like this is extended Sunday right now. Good morning to you too, Wu. I appreciate you, brother. All you doing. Wu Payne is giving these young people an opportunity. All these parents who are listening right now, and you got these Division I hopes for your son or even your daughter, James Wu Payne over at Henry Ford College, need to get at him. Because see, what happens is a lot of us, want to lead a shoreline, but we didn't prepare. We didn't prepare to be a Division I athlete like we need to. We didn't prepare to do all the things we need to do to be successful. So what happens is when my guy, James Payne, reaches out to him with an opportunity, and many of them like that from Henry Ford College, we want to scoff at that. We want to say, no, I'm good. No, I'm better than that. And that's added with parents too. Parents add to that conversation, don't they, James? They say, no, you better than that. But guess what happens? When the seasons end and those offers from Michigan State and Duke didn't materialize, even though they weren't even in the conversation within the last 2 or 3 years, which they have to be in the conversation for it to happen, you call my guy up again. You call him back, and now you want to lead the shoreline. But guess what? It's too late. That boat is already filled. So don't look down on those in the recruiting game. You are who recruits you. Sorry to say it. Doesn't mean it have to be that way and stay that way, but you are who recruits you. So keep that in mind. Love those that love you. I'm not saying to settle, but gee whiz. I got love for Horatio Williams Foundation. I'll tell you that. They show love to me. That's why I show love to them. I got love for Gilead Sciences. They show love to me. I show love to them. And, of course, Dick's Sporting Good. But getting back to our topic at hand, give a shout out to my guy, James Wu Payne, as well. But here's what I'm getting at, guys. We cannot be afraid to leave the shoreline. We cannot be afraid to walk away from that, walk across that boundary that's there for us. We cannot be afraid when it comes to that. Well, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for being out here. It seems that you out here at these games. I don't see them other Division I coaches out there at these games. I'll be at games, right? But I see James Payne out there. I see James Payne out there clean, like he got a contract with Polo or something, clean on him when he get out there and trying to talk to these young people and give them an opportunity. And Michelle, again, I appreciate your comment. I want to go back to that about the great MLK saying faith is taking the first step when you don't see the whole staircase. See, many of us want to lead the shoreline, but we're not prepared. Many of us have stood on the shoreline for days and days, weeks and weeks, years and years, looking at the vast beyond and that unknown. But instead of finding the sticks and the twigs to build a raft, instead of doing push-ups, instead of learning to swim, We just sat there. And then we gave every reason why we can't leave the shoreline. It may be a relationship that you wanted. But instead of making yourself more appealable for the relationship, you just sat there. And that is your reason why you feel you can't leave the shoreline. Let's look at that beautiful shoreline again, guys. Let's look at that image. Because to me, it was beautiful. It's, an image that we need to see more and more of. You have the familiarity of the sand and the beach, but that vast unknown. But we must know that there's something on the other side of that horizon. There's something beyond what we see right there. And you got to have the confidence in knowing and following that inner spirit, following that inside voice to say, there's something that's there for me. This wouldn't be an issue if you had a boat. This wouldn't be an issue if you were an Olympic-style swimmer. So the preparation can allow you to leave the unfamiliar, the familiar that is. The preparation can allow you to go beyond what you feel is holding you back and what you don't want to do. You don't want to have to run and leave the shoreline out of fear. You don't want to have to just do it because you waited so long and you have no choice. Prepare yourself to go beyond the shoreline. That's right. We can leave the shoreline, folks. That's right. Look beyond the horizon. And that can be intimidating, Michelle. It can be hard because you say, I don't know what's there, but where is your faith? Where is your belief? And I know you can talk about the times you've been hurt, your heart been broken, somebody did you wrong, how society is. Hell, who you talking to? You're talking to a black man in America, right? Where I could turn on the news any given day and hear about some bullshit that happened to a black man. That's right, I said it. Black woman too. Black teens. I could talk about that. Am I accepting that? Absolutely not. But I am saying that is not going to stop me from dreaming and believing and pushing beyond the horizon. And as I swim and as I move forward to go beyond the horizon, I'm going to try to tell you the story. But I don't expect everyone to come along. Some of you are waiting for some of us to finally get in the water so you can jump on our back. But you can't do that. You'll drown me. You'll drown the dream. You'll drown your opportunity for me to help you. Don't jump on my back. Prepare yourselves just the same. And we can all go forward. But if we don't go forward, don't worry. When I go out, look back, but I ain't coming back. And maybe that's what I can leave with. I can look back, but I ain't coming back. Don't go back. Don't go back to where you were. Don't go back to your mental prison. Don't go back to that, form of being captive. Because why? Do you see those familiar faces on the shoreline, Michelle? Well, you see those familiar faces back there, and you can't go back because that is not where your destiny lies. Your destiny lies in going past the horizon. Change can be difficult, but so can standing still. Oh my God, Michelle, I passed the plate. Change can be difficult, but so can standing still. Don't stand there on the shoreline. Don't stand there locked into that mental prison. You got to leave some people behind. That may be with what you're doing with your business. That may be with what you're doing with your prices. That may be with what you're doing with who you decide to let in. Nah, don't wait on the shoreline. If you're ready to go, it's time to go. And maybe this word is a word of encouragement to somebody out there who's thinking about moving beyond the shoreline, but they're so caught up with the familiar that they're scared to go. I don't want you to be scared to go. Prepare yourself and act accordingly. Because guess what? There's going to be some more humans on the other side of that horizon. There's going to be some more manna that falls from the sky. There's going to be some more milk and some more honey. Because you wouldn't have thought about going there. It wouldn't have been implanted in your brain. It wouldn't be in your DNA to forge forward. So with that, I hope this message can be positive to someone today. I want to thank Michelle for stopping in as always. I want to thank James Payne. Listen to what that brother is talking about. Listen to the opportunities that he has. Sometimes the opportunity we want, we may not be prepared for it, so we got to take a different opportunity. Doesn't mean you stuck. Doesn't mean you failed. It means that this is the opportunity for you to go forward. And sometimes our no's are the only way we'll get to a yes, because the no's force us to prepare ourselves for the future. So with that, I want to thank you guys. I want to wish you guys a wonderful week. It is March 1st. And I do remember a year ago, we were talking about this pandemic that was ravaging our lives. It took our loved ones and almost took our hope. But here we are getting ready to move forward. Do the right thing. Whether you're getting vaccinated, mask up, wash your hands, social distance, we can get ready to move forward. I want to thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for supporting SPS. I want to again shout out our sponsors, the Horatio Williams Foundation. I want to shout out Gilead Sciences as well as Dix. And if you can, pick up the book called It's How We Play the Game. Some great words there. All right, with that, I'll see you guys soon. Appreciate you. Take care. Number love.